Hello everybody, welcome back once again to the Lost Odyssey walkthrough. Alright, so we are in... Is this Gotha? Yeah, Gotha. And we need to head into the abandoned apartment. Now, I don't remember which floor we need to be on, but... Oops. Oh, and then I hit the wrong thing. Of course, because of course I would. Hey, wait, what? Oh my god. What are we doing here? Come on now. Okay, I don't know. Let's just start at the 10th floor. I'm trying to find, Oh, hang on. Is this it? Oh, this might be it. Boom, 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 boom. Yep, this is the one. All right. Where goats and are you? Well, that's what's past is the past. So please just buy whatever you like. All right. So these are the two. Or this is the place where we couldn't buy anything before because they basically said that we're not Gotsen. Oh, it looks like all this stuff is outdated anyway. Okay. Antidote brooch. I'm gonna buy another one of these. White flame candle. Immunity to darkness. Diet. Huh. Interesting. Okay, well I guess that's... Yeah, that looks like that's it. You know, though... I have so much money I probably don't really need to worry about. Yeah. Okay. Loud bell, life-stealing tooth, incense of distrust. What the heck are these things? Thief's charms. Ooh. Shark skins. Kilo helmets. Monster bird flumes. Bug stomachs. Alright, that looks pretty good. Just going probably going overboard here, but whatever. I wanna make sure that if I end up making some rings that I've got, yeah, because I have enough cash where it just does not matter. Goat's been decimated, but my sales volume is in the gutter. I don't care if you aren't Goats, and please just buy something. All right, well, ground my wow, man. I've had all of the other mine spells for so long. But, okay, well. Alright, let's head out of here. Should I? Okay, yeah, we've got that already. Okay. We need to head to the backyard. To the backyard. Oh, owie. All right. Let's save here. I don't know that it... Don't know that it matters that much, but let's save. Welcome to the backyard. If you want a little spice in your battles, this is the place for you. Hang on, isn't that a key for a magic lock? We have some monsters in a room here, and it's locked with one of those, so they couldn't go out to battle. Welcome to Heavy Class. This ought to be fun. You'll have some challenging matches ahead of you. Care to fight a round or two? Yes. Alright, so let's do the Kilolon Battalion. I don't know if I'm set up correctly for this or not, but probably not. Alright. Class light, defeat all enemies. Defend for a little bit first here. So it looks like there's there's a secret, I guess, and that's to survive 4. Actually, it looks like more than 4 combination attacks. Shield us. Yeah, I don't think this is a good character combination to do these, but alright, I'm gonna take a look here at the backyard battles. So we're still only at 1 combination attack. Power us. Miss me. Bam, 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 bam. There's another combo. Wowzers. That hurt. Wow, that's pointless. All right. Oh, it looks like actually I only have to let them do their combo attack 3 times? I thought I had to do it. I thought they had to do it 4, but that does not appear to be the case. So let's let them do 1 more. There it is. Alright, so after this we can smoke these turds. Nice. Alrighty, let's get to work. Oh, these have nothing. Okay. Well. Gamble. Well. Huh. So you don't have like a typical victory scene. Thanks for winning ticket. Backyard for beginners obtained. Boy, that was one pitched battle. I was getting excited just watching it here. This is a little battle bonus for you. Slot seed obtained. Yeah, let's check out the next one. Okay, yeah, so I got the 3-star. It looks like that's the idea. Alright, the Festival Magic Light, up to 2 PCs, defeat all enemies, attacks not allowed, skills not allowed, items and all. Okay, so this must be just a, yeah, you can only do magic spells. Let's take a look at, yeah, you know what? Man, I think I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna come back after I've, like, learned more of my skills and stuff. Yeah, because I just don't want to do these right now, honestly. Bum, 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 bum. Yeah, let's get out of here. I'll come back. Like I said, I'll come back when I've, what I actually really want to do is I want to learn all of my abilities, like with my immortals and stuff, and just kind of like, yeah, I want to be more set up for that. So we'll come back. Ah, crap. Well, let's zip on out of here and out this side. Alright, so we need to head to the Goatson Medical, or, sorry, Goatson Refugee Camp. If I can find it here. Refugee Camp, here we are. Oh crap, there's 2 frickin' dreams here. Let's see, where are we at for our time? I could, well, we'll just see how fast these ones go. Can't believe it, how could Goatsa be trampled by mere ice? Ice fell upon us like a great monster. Everything was pulverized in an instant. Alrighty. Looks like this is the first stream. Chaim recalls a memory that was locked deep within his heart. I love his little flower in his hair there. That's very cute. A dream has been revealed. Okay, let's dream. The village closest to heaven. In this village ringed by jagged mountains, the women give birth to many children. 5 or 6 is not uncommon. Just the other day, the wife of the village headman gave birth to her 10th child. And why do you think that is? The young fellow asks the traveler, looking down at the snow-blanketed village. Chaim cocks his head in search of an answer. Meanwhile, the young man takes something like a piece of crystal candy from a small leather pouch. He pops it into his mouth and says with a laugh, "Because they die right away." The children? Uh-huh. Hardly anybody grows up to be an adult. Most kids die after 5 or 6 short summers. Look at the village headsman's wife. She's lost 7 kids already. Whether from a genetic problem or a disease endemic to the area, the people of this village have always lived short lives, he says, from way, way back. Now that you mention it, says Chaim, I haven't seen any old people here. See what I mean? A few decades ago, I'm told one person lived to be 50, but people say that's the oldest anyone ever got in the whole history of the village. This is why we give birth to lots of kids, give birth to a lot, and lose a lot. If just one of them lives into adulthood, though, the family line is saved and the village history continues. You see my point? The young man is 16, as is his wife. The first child is due to be born any day now, literally today or tomorrow. The young man crunches down on the candy in his mouth. Let's get going, he says, and around his wrists he winds the ropes he uses to pull the sled. He hasn't loaded the sled yet, but dragging it up the steep, snow-covered road is hard work. This, he says, is why the pay is so good. Only a few days earlier, he lost his good friend and fellow worker, who had been 3 years his senior. When Chaim happened along, the young man asked him if he would help by pushing the sled from behind until they cleared the pass. Chaim agreed, and they became an instant team. Chaim circles around the back of the sled and asks, "You don't have any animals to pull the sled?" "Afraid not," says the young man. "I know it's strange, but our horses and cattle and donkeys all die young. You can spend a lot of money at the town market buying an animal, and it'll keel over before it's done a lick of work. Finally, the best way is for us humans to plow the fields and pull the sleds ourselves." The arms with which the young man himself is pulling his sled are massive, and he forges through the snow's snowy cover with powerful steps. His fellow worker was stronger still, he says. He taught me how to pull the sled, how to set rabbit traps, how to build a fire, all the skills I need to live, with all the love he would give to a kid brother. Before I knew it, he was gone. People here always die suddenly, he says. They can be perfectly healthy 1 minute and drop dead the next. No time for suffering, just like that. No time to call a doctor. Even if a doctor comes, there's nothing he can do. Did your friend die that way? Uh-huh. He was shoveling the snow that piled up overnight, clearing the road when he dropped dead. By the time we ran over to help him, he was gone. That's how it always is. Always. That's how they die. Grown-ups, kids, everyone. And you too, then? I guess so. Nobody knows when the moment is coming. It might be decades from now, or it could be tomorrow. After his cool pronouncement, the young man turns to look at Chaim and, pointing to his own chest, says with a smile, or maybe even now. The smile is genuine, without a hint of despair or bitterness toward the cruelty of his fate. Aren't you afraid to die? Chaim starts to ask him, but stops himself. It's a stupid question, he decides, and one that he is not qualified to ask. Where could a man burdened with eternal life find appropriate words to speak to a man burdened with the threat of sudden death? Chaim and the young man keep dragging the sled up the steep mountain path. Their destination is the lake beyond the pass. The young man's job calls for him to cut ice from the surface of the frozen lake and transport it back to the village. We in the village call the lake the Spring of Life. If you trace the source of the water that bubbles out of the ground here and there in the village, you always wind up at the Spring of Life. Chaim nods silently. The ice from the Spring of Life takes forever to melt. That's why, look, You can even do this. Again, the young man takes a piece of the crystal candy, or rather ice, from his leather pouch and puts it in his mouth. It gives you energy. It's indispensable when doing hard work or for pregnant women or infants. Just a piece in your mouth and it gives you instant strength. The young man offers a piece to Kime, who nods again in silence. We're really not supposed to give any to outsiders, but you're special because I'm putting you to work. If I give it to you, though, I want you to help me load the ice on the sled. I can handle it by myself on the way back. Kime silently accepts the ice from the young man, who assures him it tastes good too, and watches him smiling. Kime averts his gaze somewhat and puts the piece in his mouth. The ice should be nothing but frozen water, but it has a mild sweetness, just as Kime expected. He spits it out when the young man is not looking. Poison. I know that taste, thinks Kime. The village people are used to this taste, so they think nothing of it. Without a doubt, though, there is poison in the ice. The long flow of time smooths over the wounds inflicted by history. The permanently snow-capped peaks make people forget the existence of the wide world on the other side. The young man calls this lake the spring of life, but those who've lived far beyond the mountains, at the source of the river that feeds the lake, used to know it as the pit of death. Long, long ago, several hundred years ago, the entire area around the river's source was polluted with a poisonous metallic outflow from a mine. The river was filled with dead fish floating belly up, and the poisonous gas that rose like a mist from the ground killed both the earthbound animals and the birds in the sky. The forest withered, and the lively town that had grown up with the development of the mine became a deserted ruin. Nature took many years to recover, but the forest eventually turned green again, which attracted small animals and eventually the larger animals that hunted them. People, however, never came back, and there was no one left to hand down the story of the tragedy that occurred at the river's source deep in the mountains. The only one who knows everything that happened is Kime, the man who has lived 1,000 years. The young man stands by the frozen lake and takes a nice, satisfying stretch. You know, he says to the traveler, I sometimes think this village just might be the closest one to heaven in the whole world. Perhaps it's because we are too close to heaven that we're all summoned by the gods early on. Don't you think that might be true? Kime says nothing in response to this. Over many years, this lake has accumulated the metallic poison that flowed into it from upstream, and over many years, the poison that infiltrated the soil has mingled with the groundwater, bubbling up in the spring water with which the villagers slake their thirst. No one knows the exact chemical makeup of the poison, but at least it does not cause the villagers to suffer until, at the last moment of their lives, the accumulated poison suddenly takes its toll. This may be its one fortunate aspect. On the other hand, this might simply make the misfortune it brings all the more conspicuous. Still, the young man says as he saws off a piece of ice by the shore, I do hope that the children my wife and I have will be able to live longer lives. Say, if we have 5, at least one of them will live long enough to grow up and have kids. That way, for me, it would be like finding some meaning in having been born into this world. It was the same with my father and mother and my grandparents. They all had lots of kids and mourned the loss of lots of kids, but managed to raise 1 or 2 to adulthood before they died. That's what gives our life meaning. He wipes the sweat from his brow and puts another piece of ice candy in his mouth. If I were to tell him everything I know, thinks Kime, if I were to tell him everything that has been buried in the darkness of history, and if he were to tell the other villagers, the tragedy might not have to be repeated. The young man says, when a baby is born here, they ring the village bell, and when someone dies, the same for both. Birth and death are like 2 sides of the same coin, so there's no sadness when someone dies. Everybody sees them off with a smile and wish, you go ahead of us to heaven and save a good spot there for us. Do you understand that sentiment? I do, says Kime, I do. That's how we've always done it, welcoming lots of new lives to the village and sending lots of lives off to heaven. I've never been much of a student, so I don't know exactly how to put this, but I kind of think that maybe the village closest to heaven is a place where life and death are right next door to each other. The young man gives Chaim an embarrassed smile at the sound of his own words. Maybe it's because I'm about to have a kid of my own that I'm starting to think about these complicated things. No, that's fine. I see exactly what you mean, Chaim says. The moment the words leave his mouth, a bell sounds from the foot of the hill. Several long, slow rings. That's it, exclaims the young man. My child has been born. He dips his head and says again, as if savoring the sound of his own words, my child. While the bell is rung likewise for births and deaths, the young man says the sound in each case is subtly different. When a young villager learns to tell the two apart, he or she is considered to be an adult. I hope this one lives a long time, the young man says, choking with a flood of emotions that show on his face, but then he goes on as if to negate his own hopes for the future. Either way, whether it lives a long time or not, my child has now been born into this world. That's all that matters. I'm so happy. So happy. Eyes full of tears, he turns a beatific smile on Chaim, and then, still smiling, he collapses where he stands. Chaim lies the young man's corpse on the sled and returns to the village. As the young man said, the villagers accept his death with the same smiles they had for the birth of his baby. Death is not a time for sorrow. It simply marks whether one has been called to heaven earlier or later. The young man's wife takes an ice candy from the leather pouch he has left behind and places it gently in the baby's mouth. I want you to grow up to be strong and healthy, she says. Daddy is saving a wonderful place for you up in heaven. But go there slowly, slowly. And until you go to heaven, I want you to grow up here in the village till you're nice and big. Her words have the gentle tone of a lullaby. Chaim says nothing. If he is to stand unflinchingly for what is right, his silence may be a crime. But burdened with eternal life, Chaim knows how suspect the right can be. Throughout history, people have fought and wounded and killed each other in the name of what they declare to be right. By comparison, the look on the dead young man's face is tranquility itself. The village closest to heaven is filled with happiness indeed. The baby starts to cry, its loud wailing like a celebration of the beginning of its own life, however short that life is likely to be. Chaim leaves the village with a smile on his face. The village bell begins to peal, reverberating with utter clarity through the distant mountains, as if to bestow a blessing on the young man who lived life to the fullest with neither resentment nor regret. And when this too long life of mine draws to a close, Chaim thinks, I'd like to be sent off with the sound of bells like this if possible, because he knows that day will never come. Chaim walks on, never stopping, never looking back. His long journey is far from over. End. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's not a good idea to keep the truth of basically the villagers poisoning themselves to himself. But hey, that's just me. Maybe I'm the wrong one here. All right, that is all the time we've got. We are just right at it. So. All right, as always, hope the guide was helpful, and hope you join me for more videos. Thanks for watching.